Here's an IKEA. For real this time. This year, our April Fool's video was titled, "What does IKEA say about the human condition?" which was a little misleading because the video in actuality was nothing more than me saying IKEA product names. Newton, Soderham, Dagstorp, Jerker. Aren't we just the pinnacle of humor over here at Idea Channel? All the dad jokes that you need. Anyway, this should not have come as a surprise, but a bunch of people were disappointed there wasn't going to be an actual conversation about IKEA and humanity because y'all are just the best. So, we're gonna put this question to rest on a Swedish mattress, of course, and finally talk about what IKEA might say about the human condition. But what even is the human condition? If we're talking about all of humanity, it has to be some base level thing unreliant on race, sex, gender, socioeconomic position, geographic location. We're talking about things that if you're human, you got it. Things like curiosity, fear, love, understanding, mortality. And we're doing it by talking about the world's largest furniture retailer where you can buy a chair named Jeff or Yef. Sorry again, Swedish viewers. We don't even say IKEA the same way, so this might become very frustrating for you. Oi, 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 oi. So let's just right here, right now, fully admit to the absurdity of using a global megacorp to illustrate things about all people, and then do it anyway. But let's just keep in mind that this episode makes Marx very sad. Believe it or not, there is a well-known demonstration of an aspect of the human condition by way of IKEA. It is called, unsurprisingly, the IKEA Effect. In a paper for the International Journal of Research in Marketing, to which there is a link in the doobly-doo, Mochan et al. Described how people are more likely to value a less than high-quality piece of IKEA furniture if they themselves put it together. Which, right, for those of you who don't know how IKEA works, you buy your furniture in boxes and then you put it together.
I'm so confused. What does this ghost-like fabric have to do with anything?
They value that thing they put together over something that they were not involved in the construction of. Why is that? Well, you might immediately jump to effort justification. You had to put it together, and so you have to justify that effort by overvaluing your very wobbly $20 table. But actually, that's not it. In their experiments, Mochan and friends found out that building furniture gave its constructors a sense of competence. We need to feel like we have agency in the world, like we can accomplish things and be effective. And as it turns out, the state of things being what it is, knowing what to do with all of the wooden dowels that come with your Billy bookshelf can provide that sense of accomplishment and competence. Which brings us actually to our next bit of the human condition, this time using IKEA's products themselves and not their required construction. Humans need to create meaning in their lives. They might do that through their actions and accomplishments by making a difference. They might do that by raising a family or being a part of a community or by shopping.
I want to go shopping.
Okay, shopping is reductive because you might buy and collect art, antiques, books, or history. All of those things and their collections have massive cultural significance. But piles of retail goods, that's another thing entirely. Consumerism is not part of the human condition, but it is, I think, fueled by it. IKEA has reached the level of prominence it has because its inexpensive, mass-produced quirk, with its clean lines and just slightly Scandinavian design sensibility, touches some part of the limbic system of our brains. It networks individuality, community, eccentricity, thrift, and here we are just all more Malm, please. In Fight Club, it's referred to as the IKEA nesting instinct. If it's cute or clever, you have to have it because it says something about you. David Fincher, the film's director, referred to the narrator's reliance on these things as living in a, quote, fraudulent idea of happiness.
Things you own end up owning you.
But really, I think asking most people, especially in the West, about the constructed nature of their happiness obtained through consumerism is sort of like asking a fish what it thinks about water. And I think IKEA not only knows this, but directly architects that shame and confusion with its stores. It's expressed in a very clear dichotomy. One's trip to IKEA begins always with a stroll through the lovely, well-lit showroom. Beautiful, perfect arrangements of clever, space-saving furniture, kitchen and bedroom simulacra. You could have this, and if you bought this, the spoons, they would be so organized. But the trip always concludes with a tour of duty through IKEA's marketplace. A maze-like, chaotic underground stacked end to end with product, a windowless purgatory that you endure, fueled only by the recently forged memories of well-designed, inexpensive objects, the conclusion of which is an endless, unfathomable queue. The polite and pleasant dreaming happens above and the dirty consumerism happens below, exhibiting a kind of moral duality. The ephemeral aspects are ideally pure and virtuous, but what must one endure in order to bring them into being? Or your apartment? Or at least that's what it's like at the IKEA in Brooklyn. Maybe it's less like a retail roller derby in other cities. But either way, it doesn't say so much about the human condition as it does illustrate something, or illustrate some internal divide. On one side, the intention to do well, an aspiration towards virtue. And on the other, the imperfect truth of humanity and its tendency to debase itself to get whatever it wants. An IKEA as body / corporation as a person joke would be really easy to make here, but also weirdly appropriate. The IKEA retail location is a body exhibiting a duality more complex than the duality exhibited by most buildings. Cellar or basement under top floors, attic over living space, polished exterior versus rugged inner workings. And it also acts within a system of interrelations between other bodies just like it, other retail locations. It strives, through the labor of its stewards, of course, for a statement, a set of underlying values consistent with all its other instances. When that consistency falters, when it behaves a way that we, the IKEA consumers, don't expect, when IKEA blocks unions in Canada or evades taxes in Europe, or otherwise behaves in a way that someone might describe in a headline as un-Scandinavian or out of character, when IKEA behaves in a way that we don't think IKEA should behave, that too might say something about the human condition, in that we award that condition to things that are in no way human.
You're alone and you're scared.
What do you guys think? What else does IKEA, its retail locations, its popularity, its products say about the human condition? Let us know in the comments. And of course, Lilongan. We are back. And instead of getting some rest and relaxation over the last week, we actually moved studios. Here, let me show you. Morgan, camera. Okay, here we go. So here's where we are now. It's, you know, slightly different. We hang these now. So things might be a little shaky. They might sound a little weird for the next couple weeks, but new digs. All right, let's see what you guys had to say about us. Okay, so first things first, not a comment response. I'm actually gonna be in Phoenix starting tomorrow for the Comicon. There's gonna be a meetup on Thursday, and I'm gonna be on a panel on Saturday. So we'll put a link in the doobly-doo for the things if you happen to be in the Phoenix area and want to come and high five. Tom Obadowitz very appropriately points out that Idea Channel cannot state what actually is the 100th episode. We can only ask what counts as an episode. That was not on purpose. To Liad Milo, I would say don't worry about it. You are doing important work. You and your friend who studied chemistry are doing the same thing. You are building knowledge. Even if you are writing about things that already exist, you are writing about them in a way that creates understanding, both about the thing and probably about the world. And to everybody who was involved in the conversation that happened below Liad Milo's comment, it was so good. So if you didn't read it, you should. We'll put some links in the place where the links go. Leslie Founder Grail, as usual, writes a really insightful comment about imagining the people who you watch on YouTube complexly, and that there is a tendency to not do that. And yeah, this comment really made me think about how I imagine the actual personness of lots of the people who I watch on YouTube, and it's almost always directly informed by how they behave on camera. I almost never question that must be who they are, which is maybe the message of YouTube as a medium, or at the very least vlogging. And yeah, that's probably kind of dangerous. Yeah, thanks for this comment, Leslie. Blurgamy Blorga says that the analysis of media is its own end, and I don't know if I totally agree with this. I think insofar as media is the expression of someone's subjective experience, it is much, much more than just analysis for the sake of analysis. It is in some way the analysis of the experience of people, which is super important. And I don't think that the aim is to make us better or more understanding people, but rather I think the analysis of media tends to open us up more to the world, which I don't see a way for that to be a bad thing. To JPL459, I would go one step further and say that liberalism is not necessarily a bent or skew of Idea Channel, but rather one of its central themes. If you look at the way that we talk about things like Miss Marvel, Doctor Who being a religion, or Adventure Time, the liberal ideology is at the center of all of those things. And as far as what you describe as my unquestioning or uncritical acceptance of modern feminism, I'm not going to defend my beliefs, because I don't think I have to, but it seems like you have an uncritical rejection of modern feminism, and it seems like you assume that it is one thing practiced by all of the people who describe themselves as feminists in one way. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, hello pot, my name is Kettle, it's nice to meet you. To Banger71, I completely disagree. I think the moment you stop respecting ideas, even and especially the seemingly stupid or dangerous ones, is the moment you cut yourself off from the world. We have a word for this, it's called dogmatism, and that's when things go wrong. That's when history repeats itself. Johan Malmgren requests a WarioWare / War and Peace fanfic. I think I do too. Anyone? John Hanks writes a really great comment saying that Idea Channel tends to fall flat on aesthetic considerations and criticism, and I completely agree with this, and this is a thing that I want to try to get better at. John Hanks, thank you for writing this comment. Hannah Newkirk settles it once and for all is the 104th video. Thank you, Hannah. We are bad at decisions. Tia Shelley would like to know what the demographics of Idea Channel is. It is somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4 male. We are pretty even across 13 to 35. Our top 4 countries are the pretty common top 4 English-speaking countries on YouTube: America, Canada, the UK, and Australia. Other than that, yeah, maybe, I don't know if are we really big enough to do a census? I guess we are the size of a small nation. God, that's terrifying. Oh God. Kurzgesagt writes a bunch of really nice things about Idea Channel. I don't point it out just to brag that Kurzgesagt has said nice things about Idea Channel, but only to say that I really like Kurzgesagt's videos, and if you have not watched them, you should. They are great. Thank you. Thank you. This week's episode was brought to you by the hard work of these embodiments of duality. We have a Facebook and IRC and a subreddit. It is so good to be back. The tweets of the weeks are from I Heart Museums, which points us towards an article talking about possibly bringing woolly mammoths back to life, which has its own aura of ethical considerations, and also being able to print out classics from museums on a 3D printer because they are scanning them. I cannot wait for that. And on the art front, another tweet from Librarian FM, who points us towards an article about animated GIFs as outsider art. And for our first record swap on our new set, which I really hope I don't knock down in the process, we are going to be replacing John Vanderslice's Pixel Revolt with Schoenberg's Pierrot Lunaire. So, adios, John Vanderslice, and welcome, Pierrot Lunaire.